Let's see what they can do in game 2 right here. NaJin on the blue side, the Nidalee plan coming through again. Chaser has shown how fearsome he could be on that pick, and you know what? Jin Air says, we won with the Kalista first pick last game. Jack did well, but you are not going to get it this time.
Just got into that very unenviable position at the end of the draft on red side, where what do you ban, what do you leave up? They left up the Kalista and paid the price in the previous game. Ryze still looms as an important pick. It has been taken down a couple of times now by the Rumble, but again, more been a team factor than necessarily the 1v1 lane that can definitely go out of order in the advantage of the Ryze player.
I don't think Jin Air is going to let the Ryze through this time. Smart anti-ban. Che did definitely perform on that pick. Another possible candidate for MVP in that game. Really, so many players on Jin Air playing well. Chaser a candidate, Che a candidate, Trace a candidate. Absolutely.
There were no passengers. It was 5 players all playing super well, all with their own individual arguments for picking up the MVP. Even the flash arrows from GBM were pretty impressive. The last ban, Ryze left open again. It's going to be snapped up, you'd have to think.
Duke has yet to put in an impressive performance. He's gotten focused in both of the games that he's played. He did win one of the Ryze games, but that was because he was just smart about how he was applying pressure and drawing people into his lane so the rest of his team could really push down turrets. Jin Air, I think, played around it very well. They kited the Ryze out effectively. NaJin may need to look for a better engage possibility with this Ryze, and one of those champions, Sivir, is going to be removed immediately by Jin Air.
Sivir Rek'Sai in the first round. It's kind of a blocker pick for the Evelynn, so you're trying to get Watch onto an Evelynn, not the most ideal of scenarios when, of course, the Tremor Sense can be so powerful, and you leave yourself open to just go for the Rumble again. That's what we have to expect from Trace. Sivir has a lot of synergy against Rumble because, of course, with that extra burst of move speed, you can get away from the Equalizer. So not even leaving that option open. Sivir fell through picks and bans, notably in the previous series, but right back up to a first rotation priority here.
Yeah, taking that definitely limits NaJin so much. And, you know, I really look at that as a counter pick these days because Jin Air, they don't really use the Sivir as an engage pick. They use it as a kite pick. Watch going to default to the Evelynn again, but Chaser really abused Watch in his own jungle, had eyes on him with the Tremor Sense nearly that entire game.
Chaser, Che, they had multiple members looking for the picks whenever, and okay, you don't have the flash instant cast CC as Annie's been banned away, but you have to expect pretty much the same flavor from Jin Air to deal with both the Ryze, who was fairly well held down, but specifically the Evelynn.
And I just wonder what this is going to be from NaJin, because taking the Janna here, a big different pick from Pure, really. And what are they trying to peel for, and what is their engage going to be with this Ryze? Because you have to be able to force a fight with Ryze most of the time. So GBM looking at the Cassiopeia, possibly. They banned it in game 1. Maybe they want to take it away in game 2 if he's confident against playing versus the Victor.
Feels like he hasn't been necessarily comfortable at laning against the Cassiopeia. That's maybe the one notable weakness I've seen in Jin Air's recent game plan, but Victor versus Cassio, you mentioned that was a very capable matchup, and it looks like that's what's going to shake out. If we do see Goong go back to the Cassio that he played 3 out of 4 games of the past 4 previous to this previous game.
I think you take Lucian Cassiopeia here. You go for that lane dominance that plays into NaJin's strength. Get the Lucian matchup, and then get the Cassiopeia matchup, and that's what they're going to do. Now, GBM has been successful in kiting on this Victor, and that's usually the way they play Sivir with the speed boost, just kite it out instead of going for the engage.
But apart from this Janna, it's basically textbook picks, what we would have expected once the Ryze was locked in first pick across both sides. We kind of shake our heads at the Evelynn priority. It's, again, an early power spike jungler. Even the Cinderhulk Lee Sin, I know you're not a big fan of it, but that's where Watch goes with his build. Maybe opting into that would have been the better pick against an Evelynn that can just be so much counterplay. It goes for damage, builds quite squishy, can get picked out and die quite easily.
Well, NaJin going for double tier here also, so a lot of stacking has to be done. Their only real victorious lane is going to be this Lucian to see what he can do at the bottom side and maybe pick up a kill there. But Jin Air has that kill pressure against the Ryze. Once again, maybe they can pick up something on Victor in the mid lane if Goong can land some poison, but it's going to be that. There's just so much stacking that has to be done from NaJin, and Jin Air getting a comfort composition. They'll be able to kite so effectively and play in that very Jin Air style.
A really good line wave clear between Victor and Sivir, basically killing minion waves before they finally break. Rise should definitely have some control around mid, but Sivir and Victor have a lot of pushing options that Goong and Oku won't necessarily be able to match early in the game. So pretty balanced comps from both sides, but Jin Air don't err very far away from what was so successful for them in Game 1.
Wow. Well, I am curious to see if NaJin can actually pull this off, reach that late game where they are going to have all that damage and be incredibly strong. Jin Air pretty much on comfort picks across the board. Will they be able to pull through? Once again, looks very similar to what they were running against CJ in their decisive 2-0 victory. Both games featuring that Victor. So let's get into Game 2. The battle for second place may end here. Goong gets back on the Cassiopeia, banned out of his hands in Game 1. Now finds himself with the pick one more time. Has to make some big plays in this game. Does have the 2 mobility summoners to try and catch people out.
Honestly, it's probably even quite useful for laning, because this is a lane where Goong can't match the wave clear necessarily of Victor, but he can definitely all in the Victor quite skillfully if he gets and navigates around the gravity field. So expecting a lot of aggression from Goong to justify the Cassiopeia pick.
Yeah, and that means Watch may have to play around the bottom side of the map. NaJin going to want the 2v2. And Watch just heads down to the lower jungle. Well, a bit of an invade here that will be seen by the ward in the river. GBM and Trace poke their heads in. Not going to get much information at first, however. They do get a ward, so they want to see what exactly Duke and Watch are up to at the Gromp and at the blue buff. They will know that this Evelynn is going to start on the bottom side of the map. Looks like neither top laner wanting to do a camp early this game. A bit of an aberration here in terms of starting for tops. A lot of times even Rumbles will go for that quick wolf takeaway and try and hit lane right at level 2 with a bit of extra gold.
Saw a bit of craziness last game when Rise went for the jungle follow, and all sorts of hijinks ensued with 5 kills in the first 5 minutes. Jungle follow does start for Rumble. Captain Jack picks up one of the small golems for a bit of experience. But it looks like Rise just biding his time in the top lane.
So yeah, to get the solo experience off that as well. So I'm very curious as to how they're going to do this. This will help them hit that level 2 just a bit sooner. And maybe they can get a good trade off of it. See what kind of surprise is going to result, if any. He's going to use that Ricochet to quickly clear out that wave. He really wants to hit that level 2 first and get that Boomerang Blade. He's got a couple more minions right there. Trace going to help out with the jungle follow, just TP in at level 2.
Picks up a pink ward actually with his early gold. Hits level 2, of course. So we'll wait to see whether Duke can really communicate where that goes down. Will he just use it for some sort of lane control? You know, maybe put it in the second brush and try and defend it by pushing in against the Rise. When you have it that early, it's going to be in full knowledge of NaJin, so it remains to be seen how you effectively use that 100 gold early investment.
Yeah, I think he probably just wants to push up right here and cover himself a little bit. Perhaps set up for a bit of a dive at level 6. But we shall see. Otherwise, pretty standard jungling right now. Chaser on the hunt for Watch once more. Maybe he can get a level 3 gank with the red buff behind OQ and Pure. Bit risky, but there's no wards. There we go. Nice hook, actually. Pure gonna get flashed on. Good tornado, but there's the flash knockup from Pure, and that's gonna be first blood for Captain Jack. That was actually an extremely good reaction by Pure to see that tunnel coming in and instantly unleash the tornado, but it just wasn't enough. But he did at least get an extra flash out of the gank from Chaser.
This really good hook from Che to start up. We already mentioned almost exclusively playing Alistar and the Nautilus, and you can see what benefit you get there. Your mechanics certainly on point.
Yeah, so first blood going over. They're going to take the Scuttle Crab and then actually make a big play onto Goong. They're trying to snowball the lanes. We can't see what's going on, but there is Goong, and there is Goong definitely dying. GBM the kill, so kills onto carries. You have to imagine that NaJin thought the dragon was going down, but it wasn't. It was another gank from the roaming gank squad of Jin Air.
What a gank squad, too, from level 3, as you can see from Chase. So many types of CC. The uncleansable CC also available from the Rek'Sai. Didn't have flash, didn't need it. Really nice pathing from Jin Air.
Yeah, let's talk about Chaser's pathing this game because it's quite interesting. So notice that he put the ward down to see both the Gromp and the blue buff right at level 1. So he knew that Watch was starting on the bottom side of the map. As a result, got level 3 with his red buff, and then immediately pathed into the bottom side, had the Tremor Sense, of course, to double-check, make sure Watch wasn't down there, even though he was already pretty sure, and then came in behind where OQ and Pure were pushing aggressively. Very unpredictable pathing, I would say, from the jungler, just because, I mean, he hasn't even taken a blue buff yet. So you don't expect Chaser to be down there at that angle necessarily right at level 3.
You also throw off the timer for the enemy if they want to use the fact that you have been Sin on the bottom side or move towards the top side by countering your blue. Well, the timer's certainly not going to be accurate because it's still going to be available and probably picked up in the next minute or so and passed over to GBM.
And this is the power of Chaser with Jin Air, is that he is able to think very creatively on the fly around his opponents in order to make these highly successful ganks. And that is a big factor to their success. You know, one of my questions with Jin Air is what happens when they don't get some of these very comfortable champion picks? Because, yes, they're very good at their style of play, and no one's really been able to deny them that style of play yet. But they don't have the most dimension, I would say.
So if we credit Coup Tigers perhaps the most creative team when it comes to tailoring bans towards an enemy, if you're the Coup Tigers, what are you banning against Jin Air? Are you banning, are you trying to first pick one of Rumble and Maokai and ban the other? Like, where are you going with your 3 bans?
I think you just take away the Rek'Sai is so clutch for Chaser.
Then the Nidalee's opened up.
Yeah, but the Nidalee is less reliable than the Rek'Sai is.
And the Rek'Sai also exists as an effective buffer pick or blocker pick to the Evelynn, who we've seen Watch opt into twice in a row. Okay, hasn't died this game early game, but it's certainly been anonymous compared to Chaser.
Yeah, absolutely. Chaser wants another one. He's got a pink ward there, so they will fall back. He pops out. Look at that. He knows there's a pink ward in there right away when they fall back, so he just immediately unburrows. And now more deep wards heading in. And look at Chaser. No upgrade on his machete yet. Immediately into the Cinder.
2 losing lanes and people opting into tiers is a really rough spot for NaJin to be in. Only Watch has any real semblance of early game pressure, but doesn't count for much. And Jin Air, they see the stacking and they go straight to Dragon.
Well, they made OQ and Pure scared by showing on that pink ward in the tri-brush, and Chaser still being down in that side, putting more and more and more wards down. And so since OQ and Pure have to play cautiously, they don't have any more wards to ward try. That means that it's free pressure for Jin Air and the Dragon.
He didn't even smite the Dragon. He's gone straight to the enemy red buff. Now, he's not very high health, but with smite available and, of course, smite restoring health, wow, he's super, super low.
But he's got to get out. Look at that tunnel timing. Goodbye.
But so much aggression to no smite, take the Dragon, and then take the enemy red buff, both playing for the team and playing selfishly.
He's just thinking so far ahead. He had the pink ward already prepped right there, so if Evelynn came through, he could just get out immediately. It's just fantastic pathing here. I mean, Watch really just has no answer. He's getting kind of styled on by Chaser right now.
It's reminiscent of Cacao back when he was really dominating when it came to pathing on, creative pathing on Elise. Of course, Rek'Sai, very creative in her ability to go over walls as well, but Chaser's been ever present and oh so clinical in the first 8 minutes.
Going back for a chilling smite right now. Trace, with his first recall, did pick up that Negatron cloak. Not too surprising. Goong having some trouble, but keeping up in CS at the very least. But he's not really in a position to gank GBM. He's been poked out, is low health. Where exactly should Watch go right here to secure a kill for his team?
And Trace, he's doing what he needs to on Rumble. Understands he doesn't need many items to be relevant. He's happy to get denied on what is a tough 1v1 matchup, especially with Evelynn pressure for the Rumble. They're going for the big dive onto Goong, but able to open up all that space. Crucially, though, used Ghost and Flash to open up that space.
Yeah, well, 2 summoners for 1, especially support for mid. Very worthwhile trade. Watch once a kill right here. Duke is powering up. There's the Agony's Embrace. Trace flashes immediately. He's got the equalizer. No dice. Trace gets out.
Chase is following as well.
Oh, man. If they can bait an all-in right here, they're going to see Chaser. Now, they may go in anyway. Looks like they will. They are confident. There's the equalizer. Duke's going to flash off of it. Watch is caught behind. Is he going to go to the Flame Spitter? Overheat takes him down. Chaser with the kill. Going to pop under Duke and get another knockup. Trace not done yet. He's going to roast the blue man under the turret.
Trace gets a couple of taunts and he knew he would die. Watch, it feels like he could have just poured it back in the brush and gotten away scot-free. Shows and dies again to the focus fire. He's building damage. He is not tanky in the least, but Jin Air dissecting and really casting away this NaJin lineup.
Heck, Chaser, I mean, coming back up, just fearlessly moving through the pink ward and immediately committing to the gank. Just great communication between top and jungle. Chaser now in the enemy. Blue buff pit looking for anything that he can take away, but there's not much right there. He can dive Goong, though.
Goong has the ultimate, but no other summoners. Even has a path prepped just to do this.
But GBM has cleanse. There's almost nothing Goong could do, especially when he misses it.
Yep.
That's it. No more need to be said about that one. Nice dodge from GBM on the ult. Didn't have to blow a summoner, and that is Goong just falling in the mid lane. GBM's second kill. You know, I'm actually surprised that although it's 5-1 right now, there's not more of a gold lead for Jin Air.
I mean, top lane is probably one of the reasons for that 24 CS advantage for Duke, but that's nothing to do with Trace misplaying. He was receiving no jungle attention. His pink ward that he spoiled at level 1, we wondered what he'd do with that 100 gold investment. It was instantly cleared by an Evelynn gang towards the top lane. He's had no help whatsoever. There's been a pink ward defensively down for Ryze the whole laning phase, but he's on Rumble. He doesn't need those big fat stacks of gold, so he's happy to just sit back, get denied, but crucially not die and snowball the Ryze, who's the big late game threat from this NaJin lineup.
Yeah, and even turning that kill around as well. So not completing that Abyssal Scepter yet. Chaser just finishing his Cinder Hulk after the Sightstone. Chaser delayed his Cinder Hulk so much this game for more vision. Slowing down his jungle build, but just going for the vision, going for the kills.
Look at how fast Jin Air have switched their trinkets compared to NaJin. 4 standard unevolved warding totems compared to 3 sweepers. As we see, this is just how Trace plays. He's so smart. He's not going to be interested in the slightest. Finally, we see the engage is going to get caught here.
Equalizer is down. There's no help this time. Looks like he may fall. Duke is really low. He's going to pick it up. Actually, Watch with the finisher, but is there enough time for Duke to get out of here? Watch is still there. He has been seen on the pink ward. GBM looking for this one. A little bit late on the roam. Chaser wants to get under the turret. He sees Watch with the Tremor Sense. Now, can they take a tower is the question. Chaser just going to sit there, sweep out the ward. But the response is going to be Che holding the mid lane and then a turret pressure coming in from GBM. So they may have just traded a kill for a turret right there. Not really great, especially since Duke only got an assist.
And finally, the line wave clear we always talk about with Victor is relevant. Of course, he'll just clear the wave if it even comes to threat as it comes to lane. Picks up the turret, and as you mentioned, it's a kill for a turret, and I know which side of that I'd like to be on. It's Jin Air's.
Well, as long as they don't get a freeze for Ryze here, but the wave's going to hit the turret before that happens. Not going to work out preferably.
What I've been actually impressed that we haven't talked about, Monty, is that there's always someone picking up the farm when these roams happen. You noted it was actually Che holding the mid lane. Now Rumble comes from spawn, picks up that CS, not losing anything because of where the waves are at, keeping his teleport up as well. They're just moving as a cohesive unit rather than any semblance of disharmony between these Jin Air members.
You really... this game has just been so clean from Jin Air. Last game wasn't the cleanest, but this one is just spick and span. I am quite impressed with the early game here from the Jin Air Green Wings, and NaJin just not holding it together. Every lane getting pressured right here. They've had a couple of successful ganks onto Trace, but like you said, that's not really the most impactful situation. as Jin Air can simply just play the bottom side of the map and keep stacking up dragons.
Feels like whenever Jin Air have fallen apart in previous weeks, been some really curious drafts. Remember, they had that big priority around picking GBM every champion apart from a meta champion, specifically the Yasuo priority in early weeks. Xerath, as you mentioned. When they stick to the meta, and now GBM has clearly shown that his Victor is something to be feared, Jin Air look wonderful.
I am so happy that we're not seeing a Yasuo counter pick to the Cassiopeia, which he tried on 2 separate occasions.
I was going to say, that was twice, and
he did win one of those games, but it wasn't because of his Yasuo.
There's 3 members walking to us, although Victor is spotted, so not going to be there anytime soon. Nikes are on from Duke. He has Flash available. That's a wonderful equalizer, but is there enough? We're going to see how much GBM wants. There's not enough to go for what is probably a needless turret dive.
Yeah, Pure actually getting caught out right there, and Captain Jack just going to flash forward for the auto. Watch on the outside. There's a TP. Trace is coming in. Can OQ finish it? Looks like he will with the culling before he gets melted by a teleporting Rumble. It was basically an all-in to save that situation because Trace was just fast with the teleport, and Duke not really a chance to get involved in that. Interesting turret dive.
Well, you talk about the cleanness of how Jin Air plays. Remember, Watch was actually in the tri-brush next to that turret looking for the turret dive, but Pure was almost dead before he even got in position. Clearly, the execution and communication for Jin Air has been super clean, both 15 minutes into this game and the entirety of Game 1, and NaJin look a bit all at sea.
Yeah, well, the dragon stacking really the critical feature for Jin Air right now. They can keep putting pressure on that objective, and we're in another situation. Watch is the only genuine form of engage right here, unless Goong wants to flash ult. That's about it. That's what they got.
And you're still pressured into the warrior enchant, which means that, hey, you might 1 out of 3 times get the main flank, but otherwise you just either get chipped out or die when you're attempting these engages. I don't know what to say. The Evelyn priority, especially when Chase has shown so much priority on Rek'Sai, a bit of a head scratcher.
Yeah. Well, I feel like Jin Air has been very successful at baiting Duke into the Ryze pick as well. Certainly, Ryze, very strong champion. Definitely a little bit OP right now, but Jin Air have played around it so well. Their game plan has included Duke taking this champion and Trace being more relevant in the early game, and that combined with their superior play on the map has led to a nice lead for Jin Air. Again, NaJin scales very well, so you can't count them out, but it is dubious.
You kind of have to wonder out loud, both in terms of 1v1 as we see in the top lane. Duke's caught out, slowed, but is able to walk away. Do they have the CC? Are they going to commit to a summoner? So far the answer, no. There's the flash on Burrow, and rest in peace, Ryze.
Yeah, another kill for the Victor right there, and Trace doesn't even bother to come down. He basically just walks down, drops the equalizer, and lets GBM and Chaser finish that kill off while he goes ahead and farms a minion wave. Shay going to get engaged on right here. Chaser is there, however. Watch wants to go in, blows the ultimate. Goong wants to make a play onto the bottom side as well. Looks like they're going to get a tower. GBM doesn't have Chaos Storm available, even if he walks down there. So that's going to be a turret for a kill. Nice trade for NaJin, actually. Can they get a blue buff also is going to be the question.
There's a lot of pressure coming through. Trace is just walking down, doesn't have his teleport. I guess the question I wanted to bring up, Monty, is that how much practice these players and these teams really have on the Ryze? It's one thing about winning lane, but winning Ryze comps, honestly, that question still exists because we just see so little of Ryze either in solo queue, and you have to imagine in scrims as well.
Yeah, and Ryze is a champion he requires to be built around because he needs some really good primary engage. You imagine this NaJin composition with a Sejuani, and yes, Sejuani is dangerous against 2 tier stackers, right? You do want some more early pressure, but if you can get over that hump, then the Ryze makes a lot more sense with the setup from the Sejuani.
People tunnel on Ryze when he's allowed to overextend and just look on those insane damage trades, maxing the W first, but of course, the thing about Ryze is that it's just the same as before. He's still a very easy champion to turret dive, doesn't have the base stats, has that really big scaling requirement where he really doesn't want a team fight to, what, 20, 25 minutes into the game. By then there could be 3 dragons. By then you could have lost your outer ring of turrets. Games can end before Ryze is relevant, and okay, it's a bit like when Nasus was a little bit strong, and it was like, okay, he's so strong late game that it pays off the weak-ish laning phase, but teams are playing and navigating around the Ryze surprisingly well.
Yeah, and you don't even mention how highly kiteable he is also. That's one of the big problems right there. You have to make sure that you've got something, if it's a Sejuani, if it's an Annie. But, you know, NaJin banned out the Annie this game, and Annie's a great way to get Rise into team fights, and they didn't even do themselves any favors. I'm not sure what this Janna is supposed to do.
Last game, they could have taken Sivir to synergize with the Rise and didn't. That, of course, just lets them have, what, 550 movement speed throughout a team fight. Instead, they took the Tristana that got denied and ultimately led to their downfall. This game, Sivir taken away. Rise teleport flanks just aren't anywhere near as risky, as scary as any of the other meta top laners.
All right, the Dragon setup beginning. Captain Jack just going to pop his ult early. They really want to go in. Oh. Nice commitment with the flash hook. Monsoon will blow him away, though. Are they going to be able to turn this around? 2 teleports coming in, but Duke cancels his, as does Trace, as they continue the battle in the top lane. However, no one really taking damage right there, and a lot of ultimates used for Jin Air. 3, in fact, to 2 on the side of NaJin. So can they go for this Dragon? 14 seconds until it's up.
Pushing very aggressively in bottom. This has allowed Gung to push up mid lane, finally relieve some pressure. Rise is going to walk down because, of course, there is no teleports available for the tops. And it looks like NaJin can clear waves. There's the smite use, just to ensure that this turret stays very safe health for NaJin.
Well, they have control over the river. NaJin poking in to the brush on the top side, but no real wards right in front of the pit there or eyes on the Dragon itself. They got to do something about this before they can actually make a contest out of this Dragon. Remember, Captain Jack, no ultimate right there. Neither does Pure, neither does Watch. And, you know, without that major engage condition, I don't know if NaJin's going to be able to do this. They want to get a pincer in with the Evelynn, but that's not going to be effective if they don't have Agony's Embrace.
No, the Equalizer is available. Sivir will be up very, very soon, probably midway through an extended team fight. We see one. Equalizer's used to split some threats. Goong's ult misses again.
Okay, Goong on the side gets hit by the Death Ray. Looks like he's going to escape. Gets some poison down onto Chaser. Smart of them to disengage. They need that Evelynn ultimate. Otherwise, Jin Air just easily able to collapse on the even killer instantly without any kind of ramification. There you go, Sivir ult back up. Jin Air got the pursuit. Flash Rocket. Is it going to be enough? Nice tornado again, but they do find Goong in the end. Wow, just good pursuit by Jin Air. Waiting until they had that Sivir ultimate again, just pathing their way through the enemy jungle. Just great communication on that cooldown timer. I mean, you have to admire Jin Air being so sharp in comms.
Well, they just have 2 very short cooldown, very team fight changing ultimates. The Equalizer was used, what, 30, 40 seconds after the Agony's Embrace, already almost up. The Agony's Embrace, crucially watched, still level 10, massive cooldown on what is basically their most important skill for a team fight.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jin Air gets another Dragon. They lose a tower for it, but they pick up a kill. So NaJin at least got something out of it. They committed to that mid lane while Jin Air was trying to escape back through their topside jungle. So they make a pretty good trade, all things considered. But still that advantage slowly creeping over to Jin Air.
Not that slowly when you consider it was a 3rd Dragon at, what, 21 minutes?
Yeah.
We're thinking of a 33-minute 5th Dragon if it's taken at spawn. Rise still 3 minutes away from the Rod of Ages, nowhere near the Seraph's Embrace. Games being played around Juke is usually so impactful on the likes of Hecarim. The Rise being presented, you kind of have to pick it when it's up, and that's honestly played into the hand of Jin Air.
Yeah, I really like the fact that, you know, Jin Air didn't ban this Rise either game with no intention of picking it. They wanted the Callista first in the last game. More confident on that champion selection, and now we see another turret go down. Duke desperately wanting to clear this out. Trace can just go ahead and drop the Equalizer here in this top side. They have no objective to fight over right now. Nothing really on the docket, so he's not going to do it, though. Just wants to go into the Flame Spitter instead, save it if he can.
And speaking of nothing, no defensive wards for Rise to overextend and try and get the damage on the turret. Means that he just has to walk away the moment he feels even slightly unsafe. So still can't take that objective. 3 turrets to 2. Only that top outer turret really separating the teams. Jin Air poking around. There is vision for NaJin, though, so hard to see too much being gotten from this jungle invade.
Holy cow. GBM just really far ahead of his opponent in this one.
Uncharacteristically, Goong missing a couple of ultimates, really being a complete non-factor on the Cassio. It seemed like Cassio as a champion was GBM's undoing, caused the the brain explosions to lead to the likes of Yasuo, comprehensively losing to that champion multiple times, but finally seeing the light with Victor. That's doing great work.
It is undoubtedly doing great work for the team, and Chaser, early Aegis, just going to add to their power right now against the Ryze and Cassiopeia combination that are still struggling to get into some items, some core items right here. Nice takeaway. Jack will take the red buff.
How much do you give up if you're NaJin to get this Ryze relevant? Because with all the speed, remember, 3 dragons already. We already talked about the Sivir ultimate. If you wait enough for him to have, for say, the Seraph's Embrace, maybe his Void stuff, we've already seen that he's kiteable. We know that as a champion pick. So giving up your the 3 dragons, giving up your buffs, things just get bigger and bigger in terms of a lead for Jin Air in multiple fronts.
Yeah, they certainly do. Oh, nice steal from Watch. About all he can do at this point. Trace just going to angrily pursue him with some fire and some overheated robot.
Not much to say about that, really. Monte Cristo is, again, everything playing into Jin Air's hands. It's not over. We mentioned the late game Goong fighting, peeling for Ryze, or Ryze and Goong fighting together and getting massive damage down on multiple members. Remember, there's the AoE magic shred coming through from the Ryze E, which you won't be maxing towards till later in the game. There's a lot of synergies on the side of NaJin. It's just how much have they lost before they really feel confident in opting into a 5v5 fight?
Yeah. Well, Chaser will get seen right there as he takes the Scuttle Crab. Tried to clear out the brush. Not going to find a ward there, and he's going to keep on poking it with his Prey Seeker. Eventually working his way through that big chunk of HP. They turn their eyes towards the Baron right now. You'll notice the timing on that Crab. About a minute before the Dragon spawn, so they'll have an unkillable ward on the Baron just in case there is an attempt at a trade from NaJin on those objectives. And Jin Air once again showing up nice and early.
Baron damage from Cassia always has to be respected, especially if she has blue buff and can peel away if a fight does ensue. So yeah, it's actually notable that... And killing Scuttle Crabs at the right time is something that a lot of players kind of space out on, but if you really time them, that vision, uncleansable, like an uncleansable CC, but unclearable vision, can be so important. This Trace really should clear that wall.
He's scared right now that he's actually just going to get engaged on, and who could blame him? Duke, at long last, takes out his nemesis, top lane tier 1 turret. He's been working on it for 26 minutes. Oh, not sure about this. Are they going to dive it? Actually, they get Goong, force that flash, and they're just going to use it to kill the tower. I don't think that teleport's going to complete. It is, unfortunately for Duke, probably. Gets the Seraph's Embrace. Can he get the damage down? No. Gets hit by the Chaos Storm. That's going to be it. Now Jin Air on the run. Here comes Trace. Big equalizer, big Chaos Storm. Big near ace there with the Prey Seeker from Chaser. Killing Pure in the end. Wow, that was a very bold play from Jin Air, popping that Sivir ult. Remember, Sivir ult got nerfed this match, so you don't have as long a duration, but they just follow through and execute on the dive really well.
Yeah, the instant burst of speed is the same. I thought maybe the ultimate was just for zoning purposes to take the inner turret, but they committed to a fight, won it handily, even though they played right into the hands of Watch, who got a 4-man Agony's Embrace. It didn't matter when they'd already killed one of the priority carries, and Duke, one of those times when teleport really ruined his day.
Yeah, he probably wishes he didn't come right into that one because he got CC'd immediately. Monsoon saves him for a little bit.
It's a really big Agony's Embrace, but all the zone control from Trace, both with dropping the ultimate to zone away the Evelynn and then flashing in with the overheat. Trace's Rumble mechanics right up there with Marin, really impressive.
Yeah, and GBM too. Great zoning with the Chaos Storm, dropped all his abilities just about right. And that's synergized very nicely. Remember, there's no Aegis yet on this. Like, Watch doesn't have one.
Watch has not bought an Aegis in either game against double AP.
Don't know about that one. So, Jin Air looking at Dragon number 4. They want that 5th stack. They could have it by as soon as 34.5 minutes here.
GBM going for a build that was popularized by Energy Pacemaker's mid laner Raphael on the Victor, going for the Fura boots, just going movement speed. Actually gets a very early perfect X score. With all the movement speed from the Sivir, consistent damage from the Chaos Storm is going to be burning through, and it just seems hard to bet against a Baroned up 8,000 gold lead Jin Air, who just played wonderfully all series.
Well, especially once he gets that Lich Bane too. The Victor is going to be basically unkillable just to how fast he's moving.
42% move speed every Q.
Jeez. Disgusting.
like the Mana Restore with Cassid and synergy with the W and the Athenes. It's pretty much the same sort of item synergy here for Victor. Just gets around the fight, and of course, back in the day, why we never saw Victor is we considered a very short-range mage that couldn't really deal with the AoE team fights that were prevalent back in the day. When you're moving so fast, you can kite in and out, and the Lich Bane autos with the Q are just massive.
I just love Victor, too, because he's such a high-skill champion once you get some of these items, because it really depends on your positioning, how much damage you can get down over the course of these team fights. Jin Air just having another clinical Baron here, mopping up the outer ring of turrets. They're able to do so much with every single Baron attempt, it seems.
It's not just that they're clever, they prep the waves well, they're always in the right spot, they pick these rotational base comps, and what a NaJin do. They don't really have any wave clear to deal with this. Don't want to walk into a choke, but we might see the re-engage. No, just poking around.
Yeah, they kind of were trying to bait that one in a little bit. They had the gravity field there to zone him off as Che just popping in with the anchor.
4 dragons as well. We haven't even talked about the third of the 5th dragon. Around 33 minutes, that was the time we talked about. This game, deceptively short. Plays into Jin Air's playbook because, of course, Rise still only at 2 items.
Lich Bane done now. That's going to be quite painful for GBM. He has 800 AP at the moment, 795 to be precise, but we'll just round it off to 800. And those autos, those Qs, those will be doing a lot of work.
I mean, even simply outside of fights, Structure's going to completely disappear to the Lich Bane damage, and then once Captain Jack activates Ricochet, turrets will fall like butter. So Jin Air, they can team fight, they can look to split, they can back away and just take the 5th dragon. It's always nice when you have multiple different options and the enemy is just hoping you make a mistake.
Wow. This makes me very excited. I had hoped, Papa Smithy, that this series would be really close. I hope we get 3 games, a little bit back and forth. It has been, for the most part, dominated by Jin Air. But you know what this is doing?
What's it doing?
Really hyping me up for Jin Air versus SKT on Saturday. Because I wonder how well SKT will be able to kind of dissect Jin Air's compositions. Yes, Jin Air has shown fewer styles than SKT, but they do look really strong when they get what they want.
It's going to be a fascinating pick, Bam, for what should be an explosive series. We've said that about a couple of SKT versus top team series. They dispatched CJ, they dispatched Ku. They also dispatched basically everyone that's come their way. It's only been the bottom teams that they've really lost games to, so maybe something will change. As Chaser, he's basically unkillable at this point, and Jin Air just looking for the right angle to get what should be the triumphant end to this game.
Still no inhibitors yet. NaJin holding on tenaciously, but again, keep your eye out. It's 2.5 minutes until that next dragon, and that will likely be the ending of this game. If Jin Air can't find it before, they're gonna pop the Sivir ult. Don't actually find a pick, however. Jack just wants to go crazy on this turret right now. Agony's Embrace has to come down. There is the actual ultimate from OQ, but there's just no follow-up anymore. And now NaJin has no abilities besides a flash petrifying gaze to actually engage this team fight.
I think that's what we will see if we see GBM actually go for an auto attack. They know at this point he has Lich Bane. The auto is going to completely destroy this turret. Catching GBM is the only option they have, but he has
There it is. And they get 2, but is it going to be enough? Captain Jack actually dies right there. Duke gets on top of the equalizer. Already a double kill from GBM. So they knew it was coming. Not everyone could turn around in time. And now GBM just destroys OQ. Holy cow, that burst.
That was insane damage coming through. They have the Lich Bane Victor. He can just put out spells. They can look to, at minimum, take a couple of these Nexus charges. Just waiting for that minion wave to ride in. 15 seconds until even the Evelyn, 17 seconds until any damage. Probably can't quite finish the game, but man, almost.
I don't know about that. They're void rushing in right now. They might be able to, no, there's not enough minions, unfortunately, to do it, but Chaser is the last man, punching the turret.
Chaser's just ignoring the back call and says, no, I got this, guys. He's feeling safe, of course, very, very tanky, doesn't have any resources to worry about in that situation. They'll back away. Captain Jack, yep, caught with his pants down, got the QSS now, though.
I'm sorry, Jack. I really think he should have expected that. That's what we were looking for after all the other engage options were eliminated. Spell Shield, not quite there. Does have a QSS, but...
And look, Captain Jack famous, of course, for both the cleanse and the spell sheet mechanics. They abandoned him for just a fleeting moment, but in the grand context of the game and the series, probably not a big factor.
That is undoubtedly true, and GBM had the foresight to really destroy people as they came through.
He's just disgustingly strong. Now 6 items, even boot enchanted, and of course the trinket upgraded. Not sure if he's running any sort of pod as we're going to see the engage on Dagoon.
And there's Jack with the QSS that time. He gets the better of Goong with the auto damage. They drop the equalizer. They don't care about using it on just a couple of people, considering those are the main carries. Trace now.
He's dead.
Just going to die to OQ, I guess.
But Jin Air, they're skipping behind any of these damage threats. They're wanting them to come straight to them. They're going to take out the last Nexus turret almost instantly with GBM.
GBM just way too strong to handle right now. There is the elimination. On to watch the Death Ray living up to its name. Pure having to dodge a hook, and that's going to be it. The Lich Bane will finish. And a dominating 2-0 for the Jin Air Green Wings against NaJin. What a clean final game from Jin Air.
And GBM 9-0-6 on the victor, now 3-0 on the champion. Clearly added that to his champion pool when he got a bit of a holiday as Kuzan came into the lineup. Jin Air in general, outplayed, outpicked, outrotated NaJin. We asked contender or pretender. It may be too early to completely write off NaJin, but completely on a different level today was the Jin Air Green Wings.
And man, I just loved watching Chaser in that last game. Holy cow, what a jungle performance, just completely shutting down Watch. He did it in game 1, but it was even more impressive in game 2, considering the kills and the angles he managed to get on that NaJin roster. NaJin has to look towards KT towards the end of this week, because it's going to be another very important match for them, and Jin Air